Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday nights at 9. I am Coach Glenda here with Mr. Carpenter, and we are here to talk about trials, struggles, and victories in our past and present relationships. This is not a one-size-fits-all open discussion. There is no topic too minor or major that we cannot discuss. We encourage everyone to participate and speak their truth. This is a non-judgmental zone, so talk as much or as little as you like. Mr. Carpenter, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Night at 9. Glad to see you here. Hey, Dr. Johnson. Hey, Mila. How you doing? Hey, Ava. How you doing, Miss Wimberly? How you doing? Who is that? Hudna, Silly, hi, Mildred. Oh, welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here tonight. I'm Rufus Carpenter, and I'm happy to be here. I'm the coach and coach and course manager of Reset. I'm here with Glenda, and we enjoy putting this Sunday night at 9 on because the framework is where you and 20 of your girlfriends can come together and you can get you a sip of wine or whatever it takes to relax you, and you can talk about relationships. Some of the questions you have that you just didn't have the right form to ask those questions, tonight, let that be the night, because the night subject is something that's near and dear to a lot of us. Once again, Rufus Carpenter is my name, and Glenda, and back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Ladies, tonight is a good topic. We got this suggestion throughout the week to speak about love train riders, identifying and dealing with hobosexual relationships. Now, does anybody know what hobosexual means? Everybody don't speak all at one time.
Well, only after I looked it up today. I hadn't heard of it before.
So what'd you come up with when you did your research?
Bottom line is somebody moving in with someone without no expectation of a relationship, but just needing some place to live.
Hey, you hit the nail on the head. You're absolutely right. Let's see, it is a blend of hobo and sexual, describing individuals who seek relationships for material gain rather than a genuine connection. Yeah, it's one of those, that's another, I think it's cousins or maybe sister and brother of the breadcrumber. So I think they all in the same family, because a hobosexual, they're not really looking for a real relationship. They're just looking for a place to stay and a couple of free meals until the next, woman rolls around. But they really benefit from a female's resources, their financial, status, their, their stability, because most of them have their own transportation and their own homes. So you're absolutely right, Dr. Johnson. When you did your research, you pretty much summed it up pretty well. So now we understand the term of what a hobosexual means. And now we need to identify or recognize the red flags that comes with those types of individuals. So we won't get into those relationships going forward, because I know that there was one particular guy I did date, and I won't call him so much. He was more manipulative. He said and did whatever he needed to say or do to try to get what he wanted from me. But then when I started to pick up, I'm like, this ain't going nowhere. Like I've always said, I tap out real quick. I'm like, oh, this ain't going nowhere. So I tap out. But it wasn't so much that he was looking for a place to stay, but he saw the benefits that came with being with me, that I was so stable. I had, decent credit. I would say better credit than he had. And I had my own place. And he was always in and out of contracting jobs. So he really couldn't maintain his own household without help. So you know, I know that I'm probably not the only one that have experienced that type of manipulation or that type of relationship. I know that there may be others, or there are others that have experienced that. Do anyone want to share a story or a situation, or even if they know someone that has been in that type of relationship where they realized that the person that they were talking to was, you know, really just using them for their resources?
While they're getting their thoughts together to answer that question for you, I want to weigh in on a couple of things because this subject, when you first look at this subject, like I thought this was somebody to misspell homosexual.
Right.
So I said, okay, we're going to talk about homosexual relationships. Okay. That's going to be either a real long subject or a real short subject. But once we did more research and study, we found out is hobosexual. And when you talk about hobosexual, it's not so much a needing a place to stay, it's using another person's resources. And you know, when she asked you the question, anybody know anything about it? Be honest with you, all of us on this call know something about it. But we didn't look at it in that term, because I remember when I was a younger person that there always was some guy that had a younger girlfriend, and the young girlfriend would go out and work, and he would take her car and spend all day long and take his other women out in her car and go pick her up. And sometimes he wouldn't pick her up on time. So this is not a new phenomenon. It's just the first time they put it in a way or format that you can get to it. But this has been happening in our community for a very, very long time. And that's why tonight I asked Glenda that we can spend some time on this, because you have to identify what are manipulative, I can't even say the word. I can't, help me out, Glenda. Manipulative. I should have wrote it down so I could be reading instead of trying to say it. The tactics and behaviors in relationships. Because when you're dealing with modern relationships, there's no norms. It used to be in relationships, there was a norm. There you go, manipulative behavior. That's it. Thanks to whoever put it in there. Now I can read it. I can say it when I can read it. I can read it. Oh, okay, thanks, Glenda. But when you're talking about the new modern relationships, there's no norms.
Right.
There used to be a norm where the guy would court the female, and then the guy would have a responsibility for all of the financial ends, or all of he invited you out, so he had the responsibility of paying for everything and doing all that. And that was the norm. That's what it used to be. Now with modern relationship, there's no norms. It's what tickles your fancy. It's what you want to do. Now, and I'm talking a lot, but I'm gonna turn it over to you guys in a little bit, because I just want to set the stage and let you know, you don't try to figure out what hobosexual is. Don't try to figure that out. Here's what you try to figure out. You try to figure out is, what is that actually saying? What does it look like? It's nothing new. It's new in the fact that we've gave it a term.
Right.
We say hobo, and then we say sex, and we put them together. And we put train rider on it. We put the train rider because the old days, the hobo used to have the stick on the shoulder and jump on the train, and wherever the train went, he went. But today's time, that hobo in that train rider in a relationship, in the modern relationship, could be a man or a woman.
Right. But mostly it's men.
It could be mostly men. It can be either or. But now they don't have the stick on the shoulder in a little bag. They don't have that anymore. Now they have their Gucci, their Calvin Klein, Michael Kors, and all that, and they come to your house with their luggage in your house.
Right.
So they dress up a little better now. So this is what we're talking about. So she's asking you in terms, her question is, have you seen that? How have you had that played out? Have you had it played out to you? Have you played out anybody? And that's the question she's really asking you. All right, now we can talk about it.
We have I guess this is new to I don't know if it was the terminology that was used.
That's what it is.
Oh, okay. Like breadcrumbing, right?
Yes, yes. So this is nothing new because I've seen it. I've seen it a lot, and you know, and I used to say, silly women that would go to work. They would go work hard every day, and the guy's sitting up in the house. Sometimes they leave him in bed. When they leave, if the woman had 2 cars, they'll leave him in bed, and then he would take her other car and ride around. Now, if she only had 1 car, he had to get up and take her to work. So I know I'm not the only one that's seen this now.
I've seen it, but it wasn't actually the car thing. This guy always had a clothes basket in his car, and I was like, why? And it was my friend, and I was like, why does he always have a clothes basket in his car? He always went to the car to get clothes out of the car. I said, does he have anywhere to stay? So that was on that level here.
And you know, some people will take them right in. Hey, okay, come on in. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. And they would take and actually spend their money and time on this person.
Right.
And the person, you know, go ahead.
Sorry. I think now that we have more of an understanding, I think I've seen this play out, and I think the result of it can be a little bit mediocre, and we don't really realize that as civilians, but it can greatly impact us because, like, I've watched a couple, and then I've watched a man start turning panic attacks and just mental illness all over because of he thought he had a place to stay, and he thought that because he had a place to stay, it was the lady was gonna take care of him and all of that stuff.
Yes, and now with the laws are now about when people get in your house, they stay over so many days. You got to evict them. You can't just tell them get out. You got to evict rights. Yeah, you got to evict people now.
Yes, so, and that is terrible. That is terrible.
Yes.
But that is real and that is true. I've heard that and I've seen that with my own 2 eyes. And I'm like, you got to do what? Because if they get 1 piece of mail at your house, that's a done deal.
Right.
Really? I didn't know 1 piece of mail.
Because they can prove that they live there because they have mail coming there.
Wow. So I tell my friend Lil Johnny, hey, Lil Johnny, send me a letter this week. I'm here like,
Johnny, you better go find somewhere to stay.
You can't call Tyrone to get me out.
And there's a lot of videos like that on TikTok too.
It is.
I believe.
Okay.
I believe you. I mean, because it's something that women need to look out for, because I've noticed that when women are desperate and they're thirsty, or they having that need, I just need a man, you know, for whatever reason, they'll settle. And they'll be the ones that are taken back by these, you know, by these hobosexual men. They'll take them in, bring them in their house, care for them, take care, clothe, bathe, feed them, house them, finance them. And then when the guy gets to where he is comfortable and confident, he'll walk out their life. I have a relative that just did this, and I'm like, but he does it on a regular basis. So it's nothing new for us, but it's always something new for the other woman.
Right.
So it's like, oh, what number are we on now? Is this 3, 4, 5, 6, 10? You know, but he does it on a regular basis. You know, a woman builds him up. She feeds him, clothes him, you know, finance him, you know, do whatever she can, thinking that, oh, I'm changing this man for the better. I'm gonna reap the, you know, benefits from doing all this stuff, pouring and investing into this individual. And at the end of the day, she comes out shortchanged because he leaves her for someone else. And it's like, we have to recognize those flags. When a man comes into a relationship with absolutely nothing, with transportation and no housing, no, or, you know, riding around with a clothes basket in his back seat. You need to pay attention to stuff like that. What's up with that basket that's always in the car when we go out to the movies? You know, start ask questions. Never take a man or a woman at what they say initially. Like when they say, I love you, ask them, well, why do you love me? And if they start studying, like, oh, that's just something he just threw out there in the air. Because if somebody really loves you and care about you, they're gonna be able to tell you why. And they're gonna be able to tell you without stuttering and without hesitation. And what women need to do nowadays is when they, when they get into these relationships, never be in a situation where you have to have a man, because you don't want to fall for some of these traps, like the hobosexual man. Because you don't want to sit up there and be pouring into someone that's not going to pour back into you. And then when you do a checks and balance, you have nothing to show for it. You done invested thousands and thousands of dollars, and not to mention your time and energy, to get what in return? I mean, if we recognize these behaviors early on, we can cut the snake off at the head in the beginning. You're going to have to go find someone else. And eventually, men are going to start to learn. They're going to need to change their actions and their behaviors, or change the way they go about, entertaining women or trying to catch women's eyes, because women aren't falling for these everyday traps anymore. Because I'm not that thirsty and I'm not that hungry for a man that I'm just going to tolerate any and everything that he brings my way. You're not going to say whatever you want to me. You're not going to treat me any kind of way. And I'm not going to finance you. I'm looking for somebody to pay my mortgage and my car insurance. I'm not trying to pay someone else. So that's just my take on that. Mr. Carpenter, you want to piggyback on anything that I said this evening?
Yeah, but you got to realize something. You can be innocent. All of us say we have boundaries. Mm-hmm. All of us say we know what we're not going to fall for, and we know what we want. But there's always somebody just a step ahead of you. Oh. There's always that step ahead. Because sometimes when you fall, your heart just say, well, I'm not looking, my eyes, my blind eyes, or my eyes ain't gonna notice. I'm not gonna pick up on this, because some people are so smooth and that desire is so strong. And the reason why I say that is happening every day.
I get it.
That's like true.
Like you said, but you don't want to keep having this. But see, if you keep falling into that trap, you're going to keep getting the same results. So the thing is, how do you stop getting the same results? Because if you're not getting what you're actually looking for, that ultimate prize, how many, like they say, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? I'm not trying to look 90 and 100 times to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop. I want to hurry up and get there. I want to do it sooner rather than later. You can't be that vulnerable. You could be vulnerable in your relationships after you're comfortable and you're subtle with someone, but you can't be so needy that I have to be in a relationship. I have to be with someone that you can fall for stuff like that. Look at our age. I mean, Mr. Carpenter, what are you, 21 plus what? And look at me, I'm 30 plus something. We can't keep falling for the same traps. You gotta recognize, I understand your desires, and people want to be with people. It's nature. That's what it is, that's a part of being human. I get that. But if you're tired of getting the same results, you gotta change what you're doing.
Let's back up. Let's back up a little bit. What do you identify as a healthy relationship? What's a healthy relationship? When you said, hey, you've made up your mind, you're tired of sitting home alone, on the weekends, you find out, that you're tired from working all week, and you just want to do something. You want to refresh your batteries before you go back to work on Monday. So you're looking Friday night, Saturday, you're going to go out, you want to do something, and you just don't want to hang with your girls all the time. So you want to go out. So when you start thinking about going out, what are the requirements? What are you looking for in that dude? What are the requirements? What are you saying? How do you decide what guy to pick, or who to let further? What are you using as your rule stick or your measuring stick? What are you using? How do you determine? How do you quantify who you want to spend time with?
Who are you talking to? You talking to me or the audience?
I'm talking to anybody. This is an open forum. It says open forum. Okay. Anybody can answer this. How do you quantify that? Because that's where it starts at. You know, do they have to be at what you consider your level? Do they have to be someone that's have transportation, have someone that lives, have a home, someone that have a job, someone that can converse, can talk well?
But you're just at Mr. Carvin, you're just asking if, you know, about someone we want to go hang out with. What, I mean, are you looking for something more? I mean,
I'm asking you. I'm asking you. You okay? Let's say this. You're a single woman. No, I think you got a boyfriend, right?
huh?
You now, huh?
Oh no, I thought you said somebody's name. It didn't sound like
No, I was talking to you. I was talking to you, Glenn.
Okay.
Okay. But before you got booed up and got the boyfriend, how did you find someone you went out? What was your roadmap, or what was your path, or what was your dating method?
I didn't find anybody. They found me.
Okay. How would you found? Because I'm sure they didn't knock on your door and say, Glenda, I'm here tonight to take you out because something in my spirit tell me that you're the best woman in the world.
We was out usually most of the time. Okay, Mr. Carpenter being funny. Most of the time, you know, I meet people out in the street, you know, at the grocery store, at the post office, out in public. I would meet people out in public most of the time. Right. And you know, they'll say something, we'll exchange phone numbers, and then, you know, it'll go from there. After I see if they're talking about anything that is, you know, if it piques my interest, you know, we may go out maybe after 30 to 60 days later. I gotta talk to you for a little while to make sure you're not psycho or narcissist.
Well, time out. Let me back up. Now you're saying that you meet them in a grocery store or whatever, you change phone numbers. So you're not gonna go out with them until 60 days later?
30 to 60.
30 to 60 days.
Yes.
That's what, hey, is that the rule of thumb, everybody? That's what everybody do?
That's not the rule of thumb. That's my preference. That's my truth.
We just having fun. We just, the night, we only got, we just starting out here. We just having fun. Just okay. Someone else help me out. Is that the way it's done? Ladies, somebody help me out. That's the way it's done?
I think so.
Who is that? Who said that?
Myla.
Okay, Myla. Is that Yvonne Johnson? Did your mic just lit up? You wanted to say something about that? Hand someone a piece of plastic, and they will willingly. Yvonne, are your mic up?
Nobody's mic is up.
Yes,
no,
I'm here.
Her mic was heat up. Yvonne, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Good, Yvonne. I can hear you first.
I didn't have anything to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kept saying your mic light up, so I thought you were gonna say something about that.
Was I lit up?
Do you date at all? Yvonne, do you date?
Me?
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay. But how would you, let's say you decide you want to date, how would you find somebody? What would be your dating method?
I don't know. I haven't dated in a long time. Really not
I think you like Annette. I think you like Annette. You're happily single. I think what Annette said. I think Annette wasn't that
happily single. Yeah, I am very happily single.
Okay, that's good. That is good. That is good.
Just
now,
taking
if we
notes,
dive
Jane,
into
that's all.
like,
okay,
if we dive into like why that is, I think a lot of it is because there are certain pinpoints in men that we like to see and that we don't like to see, and if we don't see them, then we'll go back to our comfortable area.
Oh, okay, that's new. That's good. That's awesome. Okay. 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 Anybody
so
else?
I think that ties into a lot of what Glenda was saying. So that's why I said I think I agree with her a little bit.
So listen, you guys talk, the clubs are empty right about now, huh?
See, I don't do clubs. I don't prefer to meet men at clubs because I don't want to settle down with someone that has to go to the club.
I'm just saying the bars about closed, the clubs closed. Ain't nothing happening on eHarmony.
Wait, I didn't say nothing about no club. I just heard everything about like if manipulation, and if you're manipulating, I'm leaving. That's all I heard, and I agree with that.
Just saying.
I mean, different strokes for different folks. You got to
Okay.
think about it. Some people can, they can meet their love connection at a bar or at the club, but that's just not my personal preference.
Okay.
Because I know that when I was married, my husband, he loved to go out, hanging with his friends and go to the clubs. I mean, like every weekend. I'm like, how are you going to have a family and you go out every weekend to the club? It became to be a problem. So that's not my preference when it comes to meeting and dating men. If first of all, I'm not going to a club. So, I mean, I haven't even been to a lounge. I was supposed to go to one, but never made it. And I think God knew better. But at the same time, for me, my personal preference is not to meet a man or my destiny partner at a club or at a bar, because some people that say they're a social drinker, they're really not a social drinker. They're the type of men and women that have to have a drink every day. They may not get drunk, but they may want to drink every day. That's not me. That's not what I do.
Okay.
And you hear how they say, like, birds of a feather flock together?
Exactly.
So as a woman, I think we have that superpower a little bit to look at somebody and know, okay, well, if this is their casual and this is what they do on their casual time, this is not what I do on my casual time.
Exactly.
So that's not somebody that I want to pair up with.
Right.
Okay.
And if you don't have the reliable transportation, or you don't have a place to call your own, whether it's renting or being a homeowner, then we have another issue right there. Because why are you trying to talk to me? That's going to be my first, that's like that's my first red flag. If I know that you don't have transportation, or you don't have a place to call your own, maybe you're living with your mom, or she's trying to kick you out, and you're just trying to find your next place to lay your head. Some men are forthcoming with that information. Why are you talking to me? Because you think that I can do something for you, that you can maximize off of my benefits.
You said something then that just struck a nerve and just made me think. When you said the person living with their mother, a lot of times mothers, especially because 78% of the kids in America go to single parent homes now. In black families, I should say African American families, 78% of them go to a single parent home, and a lot of those single parent homes are single females, black females, and single black females that head of a household have gotten a bad rap from society that says that they're strong black women, and they are forceful, and they want to be in charge, they want to be large and in charge. So you got a bad rap. So a lot of guys flock to these type of ladies because they feel that, hey, she's doing it. Hey, let her do it some more. And sometimes the boy child or the man child in that household sees that the woman is a provider, the woman is taking care of him, mom is doing this. So he or she stays home. He stays home with mom until he's like in his 20s and 30s. So when mom put him out, he go find a woman to replace mom, to take care of him. Have anybody seen that phenomena?
Okay.
I have.
1 second, Gigi. If you're not speaking, can you mute your mics so everybody can hear without the back noise? Please and thank you. All right, Gigi, you can go ahead.
Go ahead, Gigi.
I've experienced that with my older son. He was going to college, and he got in his third year and decided, well, I'm not going to college anymore. So he came home and he got a job at Walmart. And I asked him for $40 every 2 weeks. So he felt like I was spending all his money. So he moved out, and he became a little hobo because he went and found somebody to move in. But Walmart taught him that I need to go back and finish college. And he went back to school. But yeah, I've experienced that because I feel like I told my boys I'm raising men. I'm not raising little boys. You're going to be a help to your wife, not a hindrance to her.
Right.
So I felt like when he came back home, hey, well, you coming back home, that means you pay bills.
Right.
So if he goes to another woman, you pay bills. Because that's what it is.
And I believe that, and that's accurate and true. And I support that.
Yeah.
I support that 100%.
Here's what my ex-wife did when my son Michael, he went out, he went to Hampton University and he decided to come back home. When he came back home, and he thought he was gonna stay home like before he went to college, everything will be the same. He had mom clean his clothes and all this, and mom provide food and all that. And she said, whoa, son, you need a job and you need to pay so much a month. Now I think she charged him like $250 or $300. It was for rent. And he was smart. So okay, no problem. I can't find an apartment on my own for $300. So hey, this is me. So he did it. He paid it, and she paid it. I think he stayed with it for about 2 or 3 years, and then he got out and got his job. But what she did, she put all the money that he paid her, she put it in a savings account for him, unbeknown to him. So when he was ready to move out and get his own stuff, she gave him this big lump sum of money, and that boy was so happy, and he never looked back.
See?
So, so it's how you look at something. And that's why when we talk this term, hobosexual men and stuff like that, we've got to make sure that we're not categorizing the wrong person.
Before you send any money.
They need support. They need short-term support. That they're not someone that's really trying to take advantage of a woman. It's just that they need their footing. And you have to be able to discern which is they need their footing, or there's somebody trying to manipulate you and live off your benefits.
Right.
Because sometimes a woman, you got great credit. Sometimes a guy wants your credit. Hey, can you co-sign for my car? Can you do that? But you have to realize, are you helping someone? Are you hindering someone? Because a lot of ladies and women want to be nurturers. You want a project. You want to fix somebody. You want to get them off. You want to invest in them. You want to be a helpmeet or a helpmate. You want to invest yourself in them. You want to help this person find their vision. And you feel good about it, but you're really enabling this person.
Correct. I do agree with you. I think I learned my lesson with my ex-husband. I realized that I couldn't change him. And I realized that all of the lies he told me in the beginning, like, oh, I can stop drinking if I want to. I don't got to go out to the club every weekend. When he told me all of that before I said I do, I took him at his word. What I should have did was I should have allowed him to show me that he didn't have to go out every weekend, and that he could stop drinking and go without drinking for maybe 1 or 2 more years before saying I do. But I made a mistake by being young and naive to take a man at his word and not let him prove himself. And that's why I ended up in 18, almost a 20-year struggle trying to get my life back together after that divorce. So I will honestly say he was not a hobo, but he was one that was tied to his mama's skirt.
Now, when you said you should let him show you what he was like, what does that look like? How do you let a man show you?
Because he would have stopped. He would have showed me by not going out every weekend with his friends. He would have been with his family, because we had our first child out of wedlock.
Okay.
So instead of you going out with your homeboys every weekend when we just had one child, maybe you and I should have took our son out and did some things together.
Now you're saying this is before you got married, right? Because you said
this was before. This was before. And that's what I'm saying. If I would have allowed him to prove himself to me that he didn't have to go out with his friends every weekend, and he didn't have to drink, almost, I won't say he drunk every day, but he drunk frequently. And most of the time it was with his friends. And, alcohol alcohol changes people. You find yourself doing stuff and saying stuff that you wouldn't normally do or say when you're sober. And that's where the alcohol took him. Now he didn't come home sloppy drunk and, you know, cussing me out, beating me or anything like that. No, that never happened. But at the same time, if I would have waited after he proposed and waited to see if he could stop drinking for maybe additional year or two, because most of the time when he went out to drink, it was always with his friends. And like I said, he went out every weekend. If I could have continued to date him for another 2 years and saw that he wasn't drinking, that he could go out and be with his friends without taking alcohol, you know, then I would have felt like, okay, it wasn't me trying to change him. He really wanted to do this for himself. I mean, we was in our 20s, and you would think about it, you know, he was still living at his mom's house and I was still living at my parents' house. So it was like we were young and I was more naive than he was. But if I would have saw that he was putting forth an effort to be a leader, a provider for a family, because we already had one child, maybe, you know, we would have lasted longer than what we did, but we didn't, because he said what he had to say just to reel me in.
How can we identify the characteristics and behavior of someone that's trying to manipulate us in a relationship? What are some of the signs? What are some of the subtle or not so subtle signs that we look for? Who want to help me out? Ladies and gents, what are some of the signs we look for? How do we know, or how can we start identifying what it looks like?
Well, I would say inconsistencies for one.
Lynn, let's let them tell us.
I just have one.
Audience, what are some signs we should be looking for? Somebody was talking a few minutes ago. Who was that? Okay,
that was me.
Okay.
Definitely not the clothes in the car, but you really have to pay attention to what men say, and you know, vice versa. A man has to pay attention to what women say, because if you listen to them, they'll let you know whether or not they got somewhere to stay or what they need or whatever. And if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
Anybody else want to weigh on this?
I feel like a big factor could be an ego.
Correct. That's big. Yeah.
Like how big their ego is.
Yeah, because some people want to control. They want to know they have the power over you. With them, if they have the power, they can go and they can wield it. I can make this somebody do anything I want them to do. Watch this.
Right.
Or they tell you part truth. They'll just give you, like you said, just enough to let you think that that's how they're going to be, or that's what they need, or that's going to benefit you, until you think you let your guard down and then you're gone completely. But they'll say it nice, look at you differently, and, you know, tell you part truths or beat around the bush.
Right.
I remember when I was out there, I used to wouldn't say nothing. I'd get quiet. You can't say I'm not lying. I ain't saying nothing. That was the way. Okay. When this is something that we all have seen it, whether, like Glenda said, it was in her family. You've seen it happen to some of your buddies, your close friends, some of your girlfriends that came to you and said, do you know what? I fell for that stuff again. How in the heck? How do I get out of it? So if you're in a relationship like that, how do you get out of it, ladies? What do you do? How do you help somebody get out? Or how do you get out? Where Annette normally had words of wisdom for us, Annette. Annette, when somebody manipulating you in a relationship and you know huh? Where
you get out? Well, I think what we need to do is just want to be honest and just tell them. You know, I don't know, but I really
Hey, Annette, step back from your mic a little bit. Annette, step back from your mic a little bit and try it again for me.
Okay, I think me as women, we know we're being manipulated, but we don't stop it. We don't tell them. We let it continue. I think that's what we as women do. We take that and just talk about what we're going to do, but we know we're being manipulated. I think we just have to get fed up, and when we get fed up, it's an explosion. Then we let it all out. I think that's what we do.
Wow. So share, somebody else talk about that. So women, so you're aware of what's going on, you let it happen? Is it because you're in love, or because you feel that's the way it's supposed to be? What makes you take it?
I think we just want to be with that person, or we just want this relationship. We feel like, here we go again. We can get changed. We can change this.
Right.
I think that's what women do.
Right. Or think if we change a little bit, they will change. So yeah, or call ourselves giving them a chance to change, give them a chance to do differently, and not act gullible. We try to act like it's okay. We don't need anything different, and just waiting, and then we feel even worse for letting them get away with it, knowing that we letting them get away with it, or that's me, or how I've been.
That's exactly right. That's perfect.
Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting. So now is the reward or benefit of letting them get away with it, is it worth?
It turns out not to be.
Exactly.
And we know that too.
Exactly. No, it doesn't work, and it doesn't benefit us.
That's correct.
Then let's say this happens and you know it, do you become bitter for the next relationship, or you just standoffish, or how do you pick up the pieces and move forward from there?
Taking some time out.
Go ahead, Dr. Johnson. I can know your voice. Go ahead.
Yeah, taking some time out and reflecting on the past relationship, how you contributed or the other person contributed, and what you could have done differently or better. And then not only that is understanding what held you on to that relationship to be manipulated, and how you can do better in another relationship more stronger. Because low self-esteem too would keep you in a negative relationship longer than you want to be in. But once you start focusing on yourself and getting yourself together, you better understand what you need going forward in another relationship. But it takes time. Jumping out of one relationship right into another relationship, you're not giving yourself time.
Right. True.
Okay. Let's talk about cultural perspectives. Let's talk about society here a little bit. Let's talk, because men, I'm thinking about the OJ's song when they talk about man should be the head of the family, and they talk about, and they got a little slow song. They talk about, and they talk about relationships. If the man is supposed to be the head, and now we've kind of changed that a little bit, I think who has the resources is the head now, and the modern relationships has changed. There's no norms anymore. And this is why the rise of all these, I can't even say the word, somebody got to put it again, manipulative things are happening, behavior are happening. So let's talk about that now. How do you today deal with the man not being the breadwinner? That sometimes now the woman is making a lot more money than the man is making. The woman has her stuff more on ball than the man does. The woman has a better credit. How did this work now?
Are you talking about in a relationship or a marriage?
Either or, both, either or, relationship or marriage. Because if you're married or in a relationship, your heart can be just as hurt and damaged. So let's talk about that. Share how do we work with these modern relationships? Because I think if anybody on this line, if you're in a relationship and you think about a relationship right now that you're in right now, a relationship you was in 10 years ago, do they look the same? Do they feel the same? Are they the same? I got married prom night in high school, and I spent majority of my adult life being married. So when I became unmarried and I went out to start dating again, it was a different scene altogether. And then, you know, after a few whirlwinds and turnarounds and trips and stumbles, I figured something else out. But since then, the world has changed again. Now, back then, women were more, were equal or partners, or we worked stuff out together. We sit down and we figured out what we wanted to do. We made a game plan, and we decided what we're going to do. Now, sometimes you're being told this is what we're going to do or else. Help me out with this modern relationship. Have anybody dated within the last 3 years? Anybody on this line that dated within the last 3 years? We got anybody that dated within the last 3 years?
Mine is too new to compare yet.
Oh, this is fresh love.
Yeah.
You know what? I was gonna get nasty, but I ain't gonna do it because I started to say something. Men have a term for that, but I don't want to use it. There might be a beep, 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 beep. So this fresh and new relationship. Okay, great, awesome. Congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. But if you dated within the last 3 years, this has changed. As a matter of fact, COVID has changed the way we date now. COVID even changed because before COVID, you were actually out and you met people out. COVID, then everybody started using the online, really became something very important. And online, so dating now has changed tremendously. And now they got what's called dating methods. This is your method for finding a date. And they've got the online, they got the church, they got family and friends, they got hobbies, they got sports. They've got all of these new methods and they call them your method of dating now. And especially if you're happily single, you get what's called what they used to call in movies they used to call cute meat. That you're not looking for anybody, but lo and behold, the universe just put somebody in your presence, and you're not looking for anybody, and they're not looking for anybody. But one day you look up, boom, you bump into each other. I'm not looking and she's not looking, but some sparks. Either you're happily single, but all of a sudden you have that spark. Now, Annette says she's happily single, and Yvonne says she's happily single. Within the last 3 years, Yvonne or Annette, have either one of you been somewhere and somebody caught your eye and you caught their eye, you could tell there was a connection? You could tell there was energy or chemistry between you guys? Have you noticed that?
Well, yeah, they catch my eye all the time. However, I just like to like. So I just talk to them.
Annette, you're too close to your mic. You got to back up a little bit. There you go. Go ahead.
World, goodness gracious.
When you back up,
I just said yes. The answer. Back up more.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're good. I think you're the good.
Can you hear me?
Really good now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I say yes to that. However, because I like to play, I love men. I love to play with them. And when they look and they want to play with me, I'm all game for it. But I don't take it any further because that's as far as I want to go. I like the flirtation. So I walk away.
Right. But you see how they say how they drop in your spirit, how people just drop. You're not even looking at anybody. but
Yeah.
for some reason you look up, they look at you and you look at them and the chemistry is there. Hey,
Yes.
Yvonne, you there? Have you noticed that, Yvonne, within the last 3 years where you were somewhere and you didn't have anybody on your mind or anything and looking for anything, and then all of a sudden you looked up and someone was there and you could feel the chemistry? Is Yvonne, did we lose Yvonne? Is she still there? She's still on?
She's still here. She's still here.
Yvonne, unmute. Okay, then maybe she's not unmuted. But anybody else on the line that you noticed and you weren't looking for anybody, and all of a sudden somebody, that universe or God put somebody in your path? We ain't got no hopeless romantics on this line.
That's only you. That's you.
No, it ain't just me. No hopeless romantics. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I met someone at Starbucks.
Awesome. And were you looking?
I was
were you looking
yeah.
for at the time?
No.
Okay.
Wasn't even studying them.
Care to share?
I wasn't even. I was just wanting to drink my coffee and read my book, and literally that's all I wanted to do, and feel the breeze. And to me, they were kind of worrisome, but I entertained them for a little while, and they turned out to be pretty decent. We'll see.
Awesome. Awesome. Oh, awesome. Another new romance. Oh, go ahead. Got two. Awesome. Congratulations on that. That's awesome. We like that. Okay, Glenda, we'll turn it over to you. We're going to start reeling this in, or?
Oh, reeling it in. It's 9:52.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's about that time. And you know, here's the thing. We don't get happy and start having fun with it until almost time to end.
It's all good. It's all good. You can wrap us up, sir.
Okay, everybody. We're glad you're on tonight. Tonight was Love Train Riders dealing with hobosexual relationships. And we're really beginning to deal with modern relationships. Modern relationships now, there's no norms. What used to be years ago don't happen anymore. COVID, and now people are deciding what they want out of life now, and they're going at it. Some people figure they can do whatever they're big and bad enough to do, they do. Angela's on the line. Angela, how you doing? Angela, you on the line?
Yes, I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Good. And Angela, one thing Angela always says is that this world is upside down, and a lot of times we don't do what's right. Sometimes we call wrong right, and this day and time, there's no really rights here anymore. Now you do what you're big and bad enough to do in relationships, and because of that, Glenda has come on board and she shares a lot of her story, amazing story, to let you know that if two people want to have a relationship, they can have a relationship. But she want to let you know that there are certain things you have to do. You have to work on relationships. All relationships, whether good and bad, erodes over time. All relationships need work because you got two different people. No matter what your dynamics, whether it's however your relationship works, you still have to realize it's two people working together, and it should be a mutual respect. You both should bring something to the table. You both should be able to communicate. You both should have boundaries, and you both should have self-care and self-love. Because if you don't take care of yourself, it's very hard for you to take care of me or someone else, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So first, you got to be the first partaker, and you got to keep yourself. You got to take care of yourself. You got half of that relationship. So you have to make sure that your half is being kept. And also we got to realize when we talk about relationships, we're not just talking about relationships with a romantic person. We're talking about relationships with your family and friends. Right. We're talking about a relationship with your uncle, with your aunt, with your grandmother, your grandfather, your son, your daughter. All these are relationships. The dynamics is the same. So we want to make you aware of that. you have a responsibility in your relationship. You have to do the things that's going to be right for you and for the person. All right. It's been fun. It's been real. Look to see you next week. This is Sunday night at 9. Once again, this is the framework is you and 20 of your girlfriends in a living room. You relax. You're talking about relationship issues. Now, each week we bring a certain topic, but still you can go off script a little bit and talk about anything relationship. You can talk about relationships, that problems or questions or concerns you have, and we're glad to have them out. What we normally do, everything that we do on Sunday, we try to put it on YouTube on Wednesday, so you can go back and see it on Wednesday. Now, I think we're 2 behind. I think we've got 2 episodes we haven't posted. So we're going to make sure we're going to catch them up. Right, Glenda? We're going to catch them up so we can have them out.
You're trying to get me on the recording.
Yes. Yes, boss. All right, it's been fun. It's been real. Anybody got anything they want to share with us? Any new people on the line that want to share something that haven't had a chance to talk? Because once again, you can get in for as much or little as you want to. You don't have to talk. You can talk. You can show your face, not show your face. This is something that we want to have some fun with. It's no right or wrong here. All we ask that you be respectful for the people involved. Any new people on that want to say something that we haven't talked to in a while? Sharon, you haven't been on. You missed a couple weeks. Say something to us, Sharon. Sharon, your mic on?
Might be muted.
Sharon. Uh-oh, she's gone. All right, then. All right, it's been fun. It's been real. See you next week. Same place, same time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. See you next
Good night.
week.
All right, that sounds like
Good
Mildred.
night.
Bye, Mildred.
Bye.